On the award side, same thing. I mean, when I talk about the first one, I always say, and I hope many of you out there will feel this pain. When you get an award, a contract, a grant, whatever it is, you would dearly love your PI to read the whole thing. Whether or not they're actually going to do that is an entirely other issue to solve, and sometimes it's because they're so long, and sometimes it's because the language doesn't make a lot of sense. And so, AI can do this to generate information like award summary sheets, including things like project timelines for due dates of progress reporting or payment milestones, summarize the terms and conditions, and can also provide suggested language in the negotiation process. So if you put a simple clause into a ChatGPT and ask it to suggest revisions to a clause that you might give to your sponsor, it can do that very easily. And I think that, one of these things, especially around certain kinds of clauses, like my plain language example for the science, sometimes some of these clauses, like for intellectual property, for instance, do not always make sense to the people who need to understand them the most. And so this can help you explain some of these higher level concepts that are written in legal terms that people do not use in their day-to-day life unless they're lawyers. And so I think that, one of those things that can really help make sure they understand the real impacts of some of these clauses when you and I both know the tension is they just want you to sign it and get the account set up. And we're saying, yes, of course, we want to do that, but we also want to make sure you understand before I do that. Understand the impacts of your work and what this is going to require of you, PI, moving forward if the intellectual property terms throw a wrench in what you might create under this funded work. Some of the things that I know that some institutions, and we may see some of these examples in the series of AI webinars that Dan was talking about, is how do we use these tools locally to automate processes to serve PIs to make some of these things a little bit better. Some of these things might be automating the process for PI acceptance of award terms. So getting it through, your institutional workflow systems, providing that plain language that summarizes the terms and conditions and gets them to simply sign off on it so that they've read it, they understand it, in a simpler way than reading that, that giant contract that doesn't make a lot of sense to them. Some institutions are also starting to test the environment for contract triage. So for all of us, we have people who read through contracts, pull out the things that are always troublesome to us as universities and research institutions, and then provide fallback positions. And a lot of this stuff is really repetitive. Is if you work for a state institution in particular, there are some things you probably never can do because of your state law. You know what those things are. You see them in contracts every single day, and you're always sending back the same language in the hopes that that sponsor will accept that or some middle ground. AI tools can do this for you. It's not even a generative thing. It's a machine learning kind of a thing where you can train it to understand what your fallback position ought to be. It can provide that alternate language so that the human on the other end of it can take a look at it, vet that information, and send it on to the sponsor and shorten the amount of time that they are having to look at that contract. There are a lot of other things in the award phase that these tools can do, including generating invoices and reports and provide an analysis of spending. So some of us have spent considerable development time in our finance and research admin systems to figure out burn rates and all of those things, to figure out predictive modeling. AI tools can just do it fast in a lot of ways. So if you've got the institutional backing and resources to develop these things, a lot of these things can be turned around a lot faster with the use of AI tools to get to some of the information you'd like to see, to predict revenue, particularly in the current environment, be a little more proactive on things like unallowable costs that post to an account. But all of these things are the things that require institutional investment and buy-in as you use these tools.